down the start-finish straight. They have to go uphill away from the start. On the right, Neil Hodgson, alongside him Reynolds. It was Hodgson and Mackenzie on the left-hand side. The number 7 INS Ducati shot away, but he's been overhauled now by Chris Walker and Reynolds, but it's his teammate, second in the championship, Neil Hodgson, number 4, hitting the front at Riches, the first right-hander. Along the back they go to Sears, the next right-hander. Then it's heads down, up through the gearbox, all the way down the Revit straight, and Hodgson leaving the rest in his wheel tracks on board with the number 9 Yamaha, Paul Brown. Somebody carved him up there. There's debris, mayhem, another rider down, halfway round the first lap, and there's chaos all over the straight. This must entail a red flag, surely. Yeah, there's a rider down. There'll be race stoppage while they attend to the rider. Full race distance, 22 laps again. Hodgson had such a great start last time. Can he repeat it? Well, it was Reynolds who got the drop. Dropped the clutch. The Ducati bit, but Chris Walker on the number 2 Suzuki. Chris Walker 4th in the championship. Had that fiasco at Alton Park. You saw it at the top of the program. He is out to make amends this time, and away he goes. Round the right-hander, Sears corner, the second right-hander now as they have left the start away down the Revit straight, and it's Walker leading the pack. And let me tell you that Shane Byrne, one of the riders who fell, has been taken to hospital. I will update you with his condition, but 2 others who came down, John Crawford and John Crockford, leading the Privateer Championship. Crockford, they have made the restart, so they are both out there. But it's Chris Walker on the number 2 Suzuki, tucked in behind him. It's Neil Hodgson. Then it's the number 3 Ducati of John Reynolds. But Walker leads. Can the Suzuki sustain the pace round here, Roger? You have done many racing miles here, and it's quick.
Well, we're on board with John Reynolds, and Neil Hodgson came up the inside.
Now, with Hodgson taking the lead, slipping in front of Chris Walker at the S's, flipping it left and right. Now they head up towards the bomb hole, the very fast right-hander, which is not the easiest corner, and there's a dip on the apex. As I went round the circuit in the course car before the race started, that dip is much more noticeable on the track than it is on the television. 3rd place, John Reynolds, fastest lap. He's the record holder around here, and he's pretty quick.
Well, this left-hander here out of the chicane is a very difficult corner because the riders know it's the only time they use the left-hand side of the tyre under acceleration. So they're very cautious there as Hodgson weaves about a little bit on the straight to try and make sure that... and we've got a fallen rider. That is Steve Plater, number 22, Steve Plater. That's at the chicane. That's the left-hand side of the tyre that I was speaking about, which has spun round. We'll see then, we've got a rear-facing shot. You see the bike twitched, the rear broke away. Exactly what I was talking about, Barry, there. The rear end broke away on the left-hand side of the tyre.
Yeah, well, it doesn't get the chance to warm up, as you said. Chris Walker now heeling into the left-hander again at the S's, having ducked under the bridge there, braking from 175 miles an hour. Paul Brown's Yamaha is like a rocket ship, so whatever they've been doing to that has worked for Paul Brown. Back again goes number 36. That's Gordon Blackley, the RAF technician. So the Privateer has gone past Paul Brown on the brakes. Certainly lacks out on top speed, but he's good on the brakes and he's riding extremely smoothly. Brown then in the wheel tracks of Blackley, doing his best to close him down. Yamaha versus Kawasaki. That was a close one. He nearly took Paul Brown with him and skittles away into the grass, Roger.
Well, he just let the Kawasaki in there a little bit too hard. Very, very lucky that the bike didn't actually pin him into the tyre wall there, as you saw. As Nickel Robb now poses a problem for these 3 contenders. And what are they going to do? They're going one side and the other. And John Reynolds has managed to squeeze through. So very, very close quarters indeed for these guys.
Well, John Reynolds, as I say, with a 20-point championship lead, is currently giving away 9 points to the number 4 race leader, Neil Hodgson. But has Walker capitalised on the tail end as they're weaving their way through the traffic? Reynolds almost grabbed 2nd place there. They went either side of the back marker there. It was really, really close stuff, and you can see which side's Reynolds going to go. He dives to the right. Look at Walker's fantastic all-action style with the bike sideways again into the Russell chicane as they go away up a long straight, moving to the right. John Reynolds breathing in to miss the grass and the pit wall.
That is the GSE team looking at the monitor, looking to see what the lap times are and what information to put on that pit board for their rider. And here he is, bike number 4, Neil Hodgson. Reynolds ran wide there. I saw Reynolds run wide, so that's dropped Reynolds back a little bit. You can see in the back of your picture, Reynolds has lost ground.
On the last lap, Chris Walker mounting a very strong challenge indeed, but we know just how quick Neil Hodgson's Ducati is. Neil Mackenzie down in 5th place has been working, burning the midnight oil on his Ducati as well. He's got that sorted, but Chris Walker is as close now as he's been all race, apart from when he led it, of course, in the early stages. But Hodgson went past and has led the race ever since. Has Chris Walker got any answer? Through the S's, away now towards the bomb hole. Driving hard through the right-hander, shadowing Neil Hodgson. The INS Ducati rider knows full well that he's got real pressure behind him. The number 2 Suzuki of Chris Walker as they come round Coram Curve. Walker's knee was actually on the grass, on the dirt there, down towards Russell's. They have a left and a right. Keep it all together, Neil. Just keep it on the island. Drive carefully out of here. Keep the power on. Walker is with you. He's coming round the outside. Chris Walker up the hill towards. He's in front. His fist is in the air. Something happened to Neil Hodgson, but Chris Walker got the 25 points. Nobody could be more excited than Chris Walker. What a tremendous finish and a tremendous race from the Suzuki man. Hodgson, I suspect, will be a little bit disappointed with 2nd.
So there's confirmation of the table. Walker 0.02 of a second in front of Hodgson, Reynolds, Hayden, Mackenzie, Crawford. Craghill there, a great ride from him to 7th. Steve Hislop.
Red flag moves out of the way. The lights will go from red to green. 22 laps again ahead of them. Very focused and electric was the start. The only word I can use by Neil Hodgson on the right-hand side of your picture, but just eclipsed going into the corner by Chris Walker, who came from the middle, moved across to the left to get the ideal optimum line as they go into Riches the first time, and it's Chris Walker leading. Hodgson is 3rd. No, he's not. He's in 2nd. Diving through on the inside of number 3, John Reynolds. On the red team Rivi Racing, number 3, Ducati, again in 3rd. 3 on the bike, 3rd in the race. Not where John Reynolds wants to be. He gave away valuable points in round 9. He is determined to make amends this time. Chris Walker knows full well that 25 points this time out will work wonders for his championship challenge. We are not yet halfway through the season. After here we go to Silverstone, then it's Alton, then it's Knockhill, then it's Cadwell, Mallory, Brands, and the whole circus wraps up with the finale at Donington Park, and thousands of people will be at Donington to see the conclusion of this riveting championship. That is Marty Craghill. Good performance in round 9, but he's off it, lying on the... See the sparks from the bike, his head almost on the tarmac there. Ben Atkins on the right there, chewing the gum, very focused. He knows his man's got to do well this time because the championship lead, Roger, is evaporating.
Well, I think John Reynolds is doing an excellent job. He's not trying to pass Neil Hodgson at this stage, which means that they're actually catching Chris Walker, and that's Hislop. Steve Hislop's been off the track somewhere. That is at Sears Corner. So Hislop will not be too happy with that. Now that's the look in Chris Walker's garage. So back at the front, and this time down the straight, Neil Hodgson has managed to close on Chris Walker and pass him. So Reynolds did the right thing by staying behind. The only problem is that that man, bike number 5, James Hayden, has been allowed to catch this leading group. And James Hayden, on the move, is a dangerous man. And this is the overtaking manoeuvre on board with Chris Walker. And you see that's at Sears Corner. So we're now... You'll see Hodgson coming to your picture there, and you see that's what Chris Walker can see, those 2 eyes poking at him from under the seat of that big 1000cc Ducati.
It certainly punches out of the bends, but Walker closes up on the brakes again. In 6th place, you can see there John Crawford recovering really well as taking the lead. It's John Reynolds who dives past Neil Hodgson, so flicking through the S's. Reynolds leads, number 3, so he is riding like a man inspired. Hodgson relegated to 2nd. Is it going to be a double 2nd place for Neil Hodgson? Mind you, it'll be 40 points. Chris Walker appears to be sliding an awful lot. Could be that he's got handling problems with the Suzuki. They're certainly dropping Chris Walker away. Reynolds dives past Gordon Blackley, who recovered from his first race crash. He's running well, but of course he's just been lapped by the race leader Reynolds, and looking forward now with Walker as he goes past the traffic. There's Hodgson on the left-hand side of your picture. The Ducati punches along the straight a little bit quicker than the Suzuki, but it's Reynolds, John Reynolds, the 34-year-old. John Reynolds leading the race. The gap now with Hodgson closing it a little bit, trying as hard as he can round Coram Curve, squirting it down for the last time towards Russell's. Hard on the brakes now, carefully John round here. 50 miles an hour out of Russell's then, driving away up the straight. The checkered flag is in sight for John Reynolds. He's going to win this one. He's going to redeem his third place in round 9 and win it. John Reynolds does. Just about composed as ever. There, Roger Marshall, the man with the headphones on, team manager, a lot more relieved this time out. His man has done it, and Neil Hodgson, second in the race, first to congratulate the winner, John Reynolds.
Over 104 miles an hour average for that 22-lap race win there for John Reynolds, and confirmation of the result. Reynolds from Hodgson and Walker a good third.